shine. I stayed on my grind. Every boy's like a hook from Iron Mike in his prime. My eye lead a light speed is just blowing your mind, and you ain't got enough heart to try to challenge a line. I'm holding it down, toe to toe controlling.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. Welcome to the very first day of the 12 Days of Salesmas. Now, this is DSP David Stephan Patterson. You probably know of me by now. Well, this video is the first in a series of videos that is meant to kick off our newly redesigned YouTube channel. We're moving it from the channel name David Stephan Patterson to Digital Headhunter TV to make it a little less about your boy here and more about you and your recruitment practice and what you need to do to truly succeed in this wonderful world of executive search, etc. So with that being said, today we are going to be talking about how to sell to the pain and not the problem. Okay, so what does it mean to sell to the pain and not to the problem? Well, most recruiters in this business are taught to just really talk about themselves, right? Look at your average pitch. Your average recruiter, their pitch, in essence, consists of, I'm an XYZ specialist. I've got 20 years experience in the business. Our firm has 40 years experience in business, which doesn't really mean anything. If you have 40 recruiters there, what does that tell you, right? We know what you're doing. Most recruiters sell on their proprietary process, which is neither proprietary nor a process, and usually the same as everybody else's, okay? But at the end of the day, we're hired to solve a problem, right? And so if a recruiter simply stopped talking about themselves and started talking about the problem that their prospects had, they go a long ways towards really better or more effectively selling their service. But it doesn't really stop there. You see, think about this. If a client has a problem, their problem being position's been open for 3 months or 2 months, etc. Okay, that is a great way to sell your service, right? To making them aware of the problem. But unfortunately, for most of our prospects, they are stuck in what we call habituation. You see, if all you do is sell to the problem, if all you do is say, look, I can fill this position faster than the other guy. This position's been open for 3 months. I can fill it XYZ fast. That is a way to sell, sure, and it's better than just talking about yourself. But at the end of the day, it's much more effective to what we call sell to the pain. Now, I want to have you imagine a funnel, right? I'm sure all of you guys know what a sales funnel is, right? You got your leads, and then your warm prospects, and your hot prospects, and finally all the way down here to clients and money and cash in the bank. Okay. Well, think about like this. Think about what we call a customer journey, getting a customer or a buyer or prospect to see what you have to offer as being unique compared to all the other offers out there, and that solves their unique problems and pains. Right? Well, everybody is out there purporting to, be the best, to be unique, and to solve pains, etc. Although, to be candid, most recruiter services really are commodity. Let's be real. You're putting butts in seats, right? And everybody says they're the best. Everybody says they have the ability to really dig into their client's culture and all those sorts of things, right? It's all just platitude. Your prospects hear it all day long, okay? But unfortunately, what happens is, and typically if you have a market that has a lot of competition, they're largely commodity based, meaning all their services are roughly about the same. Okay, then what happens is your prospects are likely underserved by that market, meaning they're in a constant state of pain. And using all those solutions, which usually are bad solutions, can cause even more pain. Okay, so if you come in selling the same way as everybody else, whether it's talking about yourself or simply just talking about the problem that you solve, well, you're really not differentiating what you do compared to everybody else, because candidly, they're not going to pay attention. Because remember, when you look at a funnel, remember I talked about, cold lead, warm lead, hot lead, etc. Think about a funnel like this in terms of a journey. If most people, their awareness really resides around here, like the pain level, right? This awareness level, right? They have to be made aware of that pain. And some customers, some buyers may not really feeling pain right now. Maybe they're not in pain. Right? Then we don't need to sell to them. But the ones who are in pain and we can make them aware of that pain, then after this, that's what gets them aware. Then there's a second stage, which is called consideration. It's at that point where they start considering other services or other offers or other suppliers. Okay. For example, when you have a rash on your arm, well, it's the pain of that rash that causes you to then go and take the action to WebMD and look at different solutions, right? You're in the consideration phase, right? Now, this is where most recruiters tend to sell. In that consideration phase, right? This is when your buyers care about your authority, your expertise, your process, etc. Okay, that's when those things become important, right? Talking about yourself. But if you're doing that at the beginning of the sales process, trying to get their attention, you're not going to get their attention, right? Because they're not feeling the pain, or that maybe not aware of the pain that you can solve. Okay, so it's important to, in all of your prospect and your sales, et cetera, to, before you go out there and trying to get new clients, you take a step back and think about what pains do you solve, okay, and how can you make your prospects more aware of those pains. You see, when a prospect uses your service, and let's say you're not a commodity-based service, let's say you have a high-level offer, you're engaged or retained or exclusive, whatever it is, or more expensive, they're not going to just do that unless they feel that that's going to solve a pain that no one else can solve. And if you, as the salesperson, can make them aware of that pain and describe that pain and show an understanding of that pain more than anybody else, then they're going to assume that you can solve it. Now, can you solve it? I don't know, but they're going to at least give you the benefit of the doubt, at least at first, to let you explain how you can then solve it. Okay. And if you can get them aware of that pain enough to where you have their attention, and then talk about those problems that they have that's causing those pains, right? And how you and your unique offer can solve that, then they go from awareness to consideration to then conversion, right? This is when you can then start talking more about your actual solution and really start that sales process and hopefully close that new client. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about what this means in our world. So what does pain mean? So think about it like this. A typical problem is a position has been open for 3 months. But what pain does that cause? Does it cause morale issues on their team because people are overworked? Does it cause flight risk when other people may actually end up leaving because of that? If it's a sales organization, there's not hitting that quota, not hitting their sales targets. If it's an engineering role, maybe it's not getting a product out to market. And then what pain does that cause? Does it cause that manager to then lose or does it cause their senior leadership to lose confidence in that manager and that manager's ability to do their job? Or does it cause undue stress upon the team, undue stress upon that manager's family, undue stress on the shareholders, right? And there's lots of different areas of pain that you can explore. One of the best ways to find out what pains your hiring managers experience is to ask them. Now, if you look in my YouTube channel, look for a video about how to flip a recruiting call to a sales call. In that lesson, I give a very good framework on how to go and set up career calls. Career calls with decision makers are one of the easiest types of calls to set up because you're going to be offering them the ability to network with a headhunter that can help them take their own career to the next level, right? It's a huge thing that you're offering to get them on the phone. And why on the phone, if you manage the call correctly, you should be able to ask them about issues they've had in their hiring process, issues they've had in the hiring process that's affected their careers, right? And from there, you can then dive further to find out, have they used recruiters before? Have they not used recruiters before? What's been the issues with them? What do they like? What do they not like, et cetera, right? If you get on enough career calls, when you're trying to figure out like your sales process and how you're going to sell for 2020, get on a number of career calls. 20, 30, 40, get on as many as you can. The great thing is you can get a great candidate you can market or a leader that you can market. You also may get a job order out of it. You may learn some great information about your industry, but more important than anything else, if you work these calls correctly, is you will be able to dive into the inner psyche of the leaders that will make the decision whether or not to use you or the hundreds of other recruiters that you'll likely compete against, right? So at the end of the day, you need to get into their inner psyche to find out what pains they experience. What are some of their false beliefs, right? Do they believe that using 5 contingency recruiters gets them 5 times the coverage? Okay, that is a major false belief. Do they believe that in your industry? They likely do. Okay, and you'll also find out different levels of positions and different types of roles have different pains. For example, if you're selling to HR, that's a different type of pain than selling to a hiring manager, right? For a hiring manager, let's say a sales manager, the pain that he or she feels comes down to oftentimes their sales targets not hitting them, not hitting their quota, losing their best salespeople, the effect it will have on their own ability to get their promotion, etc. Right? To HR, those pains may be very different. It could be having to deal with several different managers with several different types of openings, types of roles, so you can never really dive deep into one specific position, or having too many positions open at any given time. There's time to fill issues, etc. Okay. Now, C-suite people will have different types of pains than say a board member, than say a VP or director or sales manager. So find out who you're going to be selling to primarily. Set up career calls with them and dive into those pains. That's going to be very, very central to your sales process. Write out at least a dozen different pain points for each level of position or level of decision maker that you are going to be selling to. Okay, this is the first step. And then in our next series of videos, we're going to find out how to take those pains that you've written down, and how to work that into a message or messaging or sales system designed to get you more appointments and ultimately more clients and deals in the bank. So with that said, check out tomorrow's video tomorrow. And in the meantime, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter Community, you can do so. The link down below. I have lots of free resources in there as well. And with that being said, folks, happy hunting. Peace.